It's Christian Duke, Mid-Atlantic Muscle. It's March the 11th, Sunday night. And first and foremost, I want to remind everyone about the upcoming March 17th Olympia Tan NPC Natural Eastern in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Our very good friend Artie Caldwell Jr., your 2014 Team Universe middleweight and overall champion, will be guest posing there. The following week, March 24th, in Covington, Kentucky, we have the 2018 Affordable Athletic Supplements NPC Northern Kentucky Grand Prix Championships, Jeff and Angie Sherman show. I will be there, as well as many from Mid-Atlantic Muscle, so be sure to check that out. I'd like to thank our great sponsors, BB Custom Suits, Olympia Tan, Affordable Athletic Supplements, and Iron Mag Labs. I'd also like to thank everyone on our team. Although this is an Instagram Live, the real Mid-Atlantic Muscle, this is still Mid-Atlantic Muscle, but the real Mid-Atlantic Muscle is comprised of John Powers Body Solutions Gym, 4050 Westport Road in the St. Matthews section of Louisville. My co-host, Jimmy Hornbeck, who basically is the mover and shaker in the NPC Kentucky. Without him, nothing happens, quite literally. Hector Mendoza from MD Latino, who takes care of all the sounds, all the cameras, all the audio, all the lights, everything. And our very, very important executive producers, Rick Bayardi and Gary Udit. That is the whole of Mid-Atlantic Muscle. But right here we have a Mid-Atlantic Muscle Live, which is very important because it gives us the opportunity to talk to competitors and officials in the MAZ, the Mid-Atlantic Zone, which is key. Also today, I downloaded the Gary Udit app, which I highly encourage everyone to do. Go to your app store, whether you have an Android or an iPhone, and look up Gary Udit Events. And that app will give you absolutely everything that you need so that you can stay up to date. Imagine this. Imagine that you get ready for a show, you take the time off work, you get the hotels, you've got the suit, you've got the hair and makeup, you've got all that stuff, and then you get there too late, or you get there too early, or you don't know what's going on. So it's such a simple thing, and everybody has a smartphone now, so just get the app. It's super important, it's free, and believe me, you will thank me for it. I'd like to say hello to BB Custom Suits, who always comes on, and something they corrected me about, which I think is very, very important. They don't just create the suits for you. If you have a hand-me-down, they can do alterations. So just because you have a hand-me-down, don't make the mistake of not getting alterations. You want to make sure that your suit is made for you, or that your suit complements you as best as possible. Again, when you get on stage, you've got to be perfect if you want to win. That's just how it is right now. That's how it always has been. You're competing in a very, very deep lineup in whatever show you compete in the MAZ, so you want to make sure that you dot all your I's and cross all your T's. Now, tonight's guest is CARRIE RAPP, and we had a little bit of technical difficulties at first, but listen, Instagram Live, there's only like a scintilla of people that actually do Instagram Live. And then within that group that does Instagram Live, there's an even smaller group that will do an interview. So, the fact that it's a Sunday night and she's taking the time to be with us here at Mid-Atlantic Muscle is huge. So I'm going to go ahead and bring CARRIE on. She has a very, very unique story. So as we wait for CARRIE, I'm going to sip from, yes, the infamous Monster can. What's up?
Hello, Christian.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. So, as I also told CARRIE, Instagram Live has got an awful, absolutely awful overlap problem. So, we're each going to wait a second. Like, I'm going to stop talking. She's going to wait a second. She's going to stop talking. I'm going to wait a second. But CARRIE, you have a really, really, I would say, interesting, empowering, unique story to how you got involved with weight training, and you made a just completely inspiring transformation. So if you could talk to us about how you got into the sport, or how you got into weight training.
Well, that's a really good question. I got into weight training. I was inspired it's funny because I was inspired by Corey Everson, but I didn't see her at first in bodybuilding. I saw her in a TV show, actually, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., and this is in the early 90s. And, you know, when I saw her, I was kind of in a place where I wasn't really training. I wasn't really doing much for myself. I had done a lot of sports when I was younger, so I'd always been physically active. But then I started to reach a point where I was getting older and I was, you know, interested in other things other than sports, and started to pick up weight, and just really thought to myself, I'm like, how am I going to manage this? Because I started to pick up more and more weight, and I had a couple failed attempts at fitness, and I think that's where it started, and that was in the early 90s. But it took me probably another good 10 years to really, well, I gained a lot of weight, but to be connected with people who were starting to educate me, really, and to train me in bodybuilding. And went to a show and just really liked the look. And, you know, I was very overweight at that time. I was about 340 pounds at my heaviest. And I'm 6 foot tall. For anybody who doesn't know how tall I am, I'm 6 foot tall. And I carried a lot of the weight in front. And as many women do, I carried a lot of the weight in my legs, in my butt. But I think going into it, I knew that I would not only have to deal with the challenge of being overweight and, you know, learning nutrition and learning training and learning, I'm a shorty, and learning all that, but to get myself to a point where if I wanted to compete, you know, I would need to get lean and practice posing and cardio and, you know, get in a schedule of training. And that's what I've been doing. I've been competing since, I first competed in 2010. But previous to that, I actually competed in college back in 2005. But that was a college show, and it was just more or less to get my feet wet. But I just started really competing with the NPC in actually 2011. In 2010, I competed in the OCB, but then 2011, I started competing in the NPC. And it's been progressive, you know, picking up knowledge and learning and honing my physique, because I was overweight, you know, really overweight. So I think the best thing that I brought to, I guess, the table, or I guess your learning arena, was that it was not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It was that it was going to take years. And if I really wanted to make a change in my life, which I did, it was going to just take determination, and it was going to take putting in the work long after the motivation left me. And it's really been a very interesting educational ride. It's been, I don't know, it's been interesting to kind of look back and see how I've evolved as a person, mentally, and not only physically as well. So it's kind of long and rambling, but I hope that helps.
No, it definitely helps. And you know, when you're, you know, I'm also overweight, you know, and I've had times when I'm ripped, like really ripped, and times when I've been really fat, and now I'm like, you know, I've lost quite a bit. And, you know, people will say at expos, you know, just like Mike Eli, you know, I saw Mike at the Arnold's, like, have you lost like 50 pounds? And I have, you know, but the thing is that, you know, I'm going to continue. But I think, without being, you know, I don't want to be sexist, but I think it is harder for women, you know, because of the hormones, you know what I mean? I think it is more difficult. I think you're taller, so that is going to be more difficult, because, again, you're not just losing weight to I guess, look better, feel better, but you're also, wanting to compete. And so to fill out on a taller frame is very difficult, to say the least. So talk to us about that, because, you made a huge transformation in terms of weight loss, but then you also gained muscle. So I would imagine, from a psychological standpoint, that must have been strange for you, because a lot of times when you want to lose weight, you're like looking at the scale, and as long as the scale is the numbers getting lower, then that's a good thing. But we all know that muscle weighs more than fat. So psychologically, you're probably thinking, oh my God, I'm gaining, but now it's a body recomp. You're not gaining fat, you're gaining muscle. So how did that all work out for you, that process?
That is a very good question itself, and you brought up a really good point with body composition. For me, it was learning to look in the mirror more, and it was also doing body stats every week, and that is definitely, if a person has done body stats before, or some form of body stats like a pinch test, what that does is help to measure your lean mass and your body fat, so you can see, you have like a compass. You can see just exactly where your training, where your nutrition is going, where it's helping. Right now I'm about 190, but I have been 200 pounds, and I've liked the way that I looked, and I've been bigger, 200 pounds, but then that was when I was carrying less muscle. Especially the recomposition of your body when it's changing, you can't look at the scale and say, ooh, I really want to get down to 160, and then I'll be happy with myself. Well, what if you get down to 160, but like you had to, or you felt like you had to drop your calories really low, and you end up doing more damage, and then you end up setting yourself up for rebound when you put yourself into this long caloric deficit. So
Absolutely. And I'm reading here, Dizzy Dog 69 says, I'm 240 pounds now. I was once 215 of nothing but muscle. I'm also 40 years old. My question is, how can I get back to what I was when I was younger? Well, do you want to tackle that one? So he's 240 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, well, what were you doing when you were younger? I would say that a solid plan, nutritional plan, meal plan, along with a training plan for your goals, and, well, not just that, also motivation and the will to do it, knowing that it's, you have your plan, your diet and your training plan, and you stick to it. And if you need a coach, or if you need someone, okay, a welder and lifting steel all day, okay, no working out. Well, that, I tell you what, I have a job where I am a working foreman for a small concrete company. And a lot of the times I go to the job site and I'm there with the concrete, with the foundation. I'm there helping the crew as well. And they all think I'm crazy that I get off work and then I go train, and I'm like, well, this work it gives you functional strength, but it doesn't develop your physique like you would need for a competition. So you still would have to go to the gym and train, but I would say just reading your comment again, Dizzy Dog 69. Yeah, you can definitely do that. There is muscle memory, and if you've trained before, and if you've been very in shape before, your body, it may need some. What am I trying to say here? It may need a refresher course,
Right.
but it is definitely still possible. It's not like once you lose it, it's not completely gone. But I would say, I mean, I know it sounds really general, but get with somebody who can put you on a nutritional and training plan that is going to be able to get you to where, you know, you're back to where you were before. I'd love to take this opportunity to plug my husband, who works for Perillo.
Yeah, I was going to say we're not allowed to. Yeah, we're not allowed to go into the trainer side.
Okay.
Scott. Yeah, the thing is with Mid Atlantic Muscle, like with the interviews, we can only interview competitors, officials. But Scott is awesome, and Perillo. And I'm actually going to ask you about Perillo because you've worked there before, and I know that John has a huge role with you. And in fact, you were just saying, I read a post of yours from a few days ago, and Scott's awesome, by the way. Scott's like completely jacked. I mean, like in the best possible way. I mean, he's like really pound for pound, just an amazing bodybuilder. Who I hope will get that pro card soon. If anyone deserves a pro card, it's Scott Canazzi. But I was going to ask you, like, you had said that you had lost a little bit of heart or something like that. I guess you were having like, some self-doubt or something. And John told you that you looked awesome, something to that effect. And that really like lifted your spirits. Now, John Perillo, for those of you who don't know, is the owner of Perillo Performance. And again, that facility, I've only been there once, but that facility, it's a gym, it's a supplement company, it's a welding shop. I mean, just everything there. So maybe talk to us a little bit about your relationship with John Perillo. And in fact, everyone knows John Perillo because there's actually a funny story that John told me about Dave Lieberman, who I guess ran up his phone bill. Yeah, ran up his phone bill calling John for advice back in the day. So, hello, Big Dog 2662, one of our very, very loyal viewers at Mid Atlantic Muscle. So talk to us about your relationship with John Perillo.
Oh, well, when I originally met John, it was, let's see, what's going on. It's really only been about 4 or 5 years ago, but I'd heard about him through a lady that I trained with and had his bars. And so that's really how I got interested in, and just everything he makes is high quality. I mean, he really puts the time and effort into producing quality supplements, his bars, his protein powders, and his vitamins, minerals. And when I met him, it was actually through Scott, my husband, because they'd known each other for, it's going on over 20 years now. So I went to meet him and talk with him and his wife, Dominique. And at that point, they were looking for somebody to work the front office. So I, took them up on that opportunity. And really to work with John, there is this, I mean, Kristen, you've been to the facility. It is, it's kind of a mecca. I mean, I use that word, not quite sure, not tentatively, but it is really a wonderful facility of literally decades and decades of knowledge. And John really is, I mean, if anybody listening right now is interested in Perillo, has heard of Perillo, it is hardcore. I mean, I say it used to be popular in the 80s, but he's always been around. It's never really gone away. It's just that he doesn't advertise as much as maybe some of the other bigger companies do. But he is really somebody that if you go to him, and if you're serious, and if you really show the heart, he takes interest in you. He may be hard on you, and he's got the nickname the Prince of Pain, but John Perillo is one of the most motivational, supportive, like a mentor, brother, uncle, father, all of those good qualities all rolled into one.
Absolutely. So, I guess backtracking just a little bit, though. I mean, we had talked about your transformation, and we had talked about the body recomp, of course, the danger of rebounding, which anyone that has seriously tried to lose weight knows all about. It's a very, very risky aspect of dieting. But you got on stage, you compete in women's physique, which, with Mid-Atlantic Muscle, we want to be competitor driven. We want the competitor, the reason that we did this is so that we could give competitors information on, contests and posing clinics. By the way, Team Hornbeck is having a great posing clinic next month in April, which is going to be fantastic. They always put on great posing clinics. But we really want it to be the go-to place for the competitors. And we, of course, appreciate everyone that's watching us live right now, but also everyone that watches us on YouTube, on replay, and throughout the Facebook groups and all that. But I want to make sure that we give each division a good amount of representation. Our last guest was Donald Williams Salib, who's IFBB Women's Bodybuilding Pro. She won at the North Americans. She won the Miss Kentucky last year, and she's got a phenomenal physique and really spoke of empowerment towards the women, which is very important. And empowerment can come from a bikini competitor to a bodybuilder. It doesn't matter. I mean, as long as you're competing in what you love, that's really what matters. So why did you choose women's physique out of 5 divisions?
That is also a very good question. Originally, I started competing as a bodybuilder because there was no women's physique when I first started competing. And I really wanted to be a bodybuilder. And then physique came along, and back in 2012, I competed in Junior USA. And I was urged by several of the judges to consider women's physique. And at that point, I was still so focused on bodybuilding. I'm like, that's what I love. That's what I want to do. Let's just see how women's physique goes over the next couple of years. But I kept getting urged to go physique. And I really still wanted to go bodybuilding. And I'm sure a lot of people run into the same situation where they think they want to compete in one category and, they may try another category. Like I myself honestly have crossed over and competed in figure and done surprisingly well. Mm-hmm. Because I'm taller, my muscle's longer, and I've got some people assume that because I'm taller, I'm huge, I'm massive. And I think I may actually only be on stage at 6 foot tall, mid 180s.
Yeah, that's a lot. So no, it's really not. It's really not a lot at all. I mean, I compare you in a lot of regards to Tycie Coppett, who unfortunately retired, but she was getting top 3 at the Women's Physique Olympia and the Women's Physique International in Columbus, Ohio at the Arnold. And Tycie always gave, whether it was DLB or Juliana Malacarne or whoever, a real run for their money. I mean, she really battled.
Yes. Yeah, she's a very, very classy and classic competitor. I really, when you talk to her, you can tell that she loves it. And I just thank you very much. I feel I'm flattered to be compared.
Absolutely. And just quick, Ken's Possible here says, I'm stuck between figure and women's physique. Guess we'll find out which is more fitting this year. Which, again, it like you said, you're a women's physique competitor, but when you drop down to figure, you've actually done remarkably well. And I think sometimes it's hard for men and women to find where really, I mean, I've seen Cindy Collier, for example. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she, amazing competitor, last year, started competing at the young age of 57, although she doesn't look like a day over 30, and she started competing in bikini, but then she found that figure was where she really belongs. I mean, the judges were telling her figure. She got into figure and she loves it. But sometimes, it is possible to pick, I don't want to say the wrong division, but it's possible to pick a division that's maybe not best for you. And that's why I really have to applaud our Mid-Atlantic Zone chairman, Gary Udit, because he is really pushing hard for this true novice division, which really, if you chose a division that wasn't ideal for you and then you wanted to try the division where everybody's telling you to go, you get this opportunity to compete with other people that are doing it for the first time. I think that makes it a lot more feasible.
I agree. It definitely makes it a lot less daunting when you know that you're in a class with other people and that this is absolutely their first time competing, and that you're not up against people who your physique may be competitive with people who have more experience, but there's still that intimidation of they've been here before, they do or should know what they're doing. And I can definitely see that, because there's been a couple times when I've watched other competitors get ready and then I end up on the same stage with them. So I can understand definitely the little bit of the intimidation that you get with having to be in the same class with somebody else who has much, much more experience, much more training under their belt. So the true novice, I think, is an excellent opportunity, and a wonderful, wonderful class, I think, for first-time competitors.
So as we sort of wrap up a little bit, I was wondering, and by the way, welcome to Jim Robertson, and also welcome to Muscle. It looks like Muscle Addict in Portuguese. But I want to welcome everyone to Mid-Atlantic Muscle. I want to remind everyone to please follow us at Mid-Atlantic Muscle, and of course, check out our website, midatlanticmuscle.net. But as we sort of wrap up a little bit, because I could talk to you forever, and I could talk to Scott forever. What would you say? And this is kind of like a open-ended question, but what would you say to a woman that may be watching this, or who may want to compete, who maybe lacks the self-confidence to actually take the plunge? Because I've got to be honest with you, at the gym, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and I've spoken to a lot of people, and it's strange because this idea that muscle is masculine, to me, is antithetical to just basically every single concept of knowledge, of education. It just seems like such a backward thing. And I what would you say to a woman that wants to compete, that maybe doesn't have the support network, or maybe doesn't have that inner flame, that self-confidence to do it? What would you say to her?
I would say, if you want to do it, as general or simple, as maybe cliche as this is to say, do it. And do it for you. Find a coach, find a trainer who is, willing to put in the time, willing to put in the effort to help you learn, because as you learn, as you gain the knowledge, at least in my experience, you gain the confidence. Mm-hmm. As you train, as you practice, as you make little mini goals for yourself, whether it be, and when I train, I don't necessarily train for a certain weight, but maybe a goal could be to have a certain bench, or do a certain amount of cardio, and those little things like that as you're training and as you're piecing together this puzzle that goes into, the contest prep. You're also gaining steam, you're gaining momentum, you're gaining confidence, at least I feel, in it. And the more you do it, and the more support that you have, especially from friends, significant others, and also, there's fans out there too that will always be there to have your back. I think all of that together, just the team is crucial.
And again, I'm framing the question in terms of what would you say to a woman, because you're a woman, and because but the reality of the matter is that your decision to compete affects men every bit as much as women, because again, like in society, I would love nothing more. I know that within bodybuilding, within the fitness industry, there's a little bit of division, in the sense that there's folks that want to grow the sport in terms of what it is, and then there's people that want to grow the sport, kind of like me a little bit, to make it a little bit more mainstream friendly. Bodybuilding can be as mainstream as basketball and football, because really it's promoting health, it's promoting exercise, it's promoting things that everybody should want to aspire to do. But I think, though, that even when people like say have a New Year's resolution and let's say lose the weight, that's all okay. But to then say I want to compete, I think people will meet with some resistance from significant others, and people, men and women, will meet with significant resistance, be it from significant others or coworkers or friends, saying, "Oh, why do you want to do that? Like, are you in love with yourself?" Or just a whole plethora of absurdities. But people, I'm sure you heard it. I've never competed, but I have a fascination with fitness, and I hear it. And people are like, well, why do you want to do that? Like, isn't it enough that you lost the weight? Why do you want to then get on stage? And they don't quite get it. So I think your advice, like I said, will impact men every bit as much as women, because I don't think there's anything wrong with competing. I think it's a great thing.
Oh yeah, to me, muscle doesn't have a male or female. I mean, there's some people that envision like the alpha male with all this muscle, and then females with kind of long, lithe, or even bigger. I mean, even carrying, like, dare I say, what would be considered overweight, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. No. But to me, muscle shouldn't be male or female. It's what you do with it.
100% agree with you. So in terms of 2018, in terms of the competitive season, in terms of goals, I mean, what are some things that you would like to accomplish, on and off the stage in 2018?
In 2018, I'm currently in prep for the NPC Kentucky Derby Festival, and that's just under 7 weeks away. Mm-hmm. After that, I will, depending on how that show goes, or what goes on at that show, will determine what other shows I compete at this year. I would also like to qualify and compete nationally this year. Exactly, Miss Buff Nugget. That's the ultimate goal, is pro card, and after I earn my pro card, then I already have my sights set on the Olympia stage. Maybe not in 2018, but I can definitely lay the groundwork, I feel.
Absolutely. And again, competing with the NPC, it's where the best amateurs in the United States compete. It's a no-brainer to compete there. It's the only road to the IFBB Pro League Pro Card. And as you said, the Miss Olympia, I mean, again, it's not all roads lead to the Miss Olympia. The only road that leads to the Mr. and Miss Olympia is the IFBB Pro League. And so, it's awesome that we can be part of it. You as a competitor and me as someone covering it, I think is fantastic. And I think, I don't think that it's, out of this world for you. I mean, you're a very, very hard worker. Like, in other words, I don't think it's out of this world in the sense that you can't, make that goal a reality. I have seen you work in the gym. I have seen you work at expos like the Arnold Classic. I have seen you interact with the fans. I mean, you have all the qualities that I think we would like to see in an IFBB Pro League professional, in the sense that you're great with the fans, that you take the sport seriously. I have never seen you go to stage off. And that's not to say that if you're a pro, you can never come off, but you always treat the stage with a certain level of respect, which I think is very, very cool. I think it's very, very cool.